What is up, guys? This is Jared Spawning here, and today I'm going to be making a video that is exactly what it sounds like, a guide to investing in silver, especially for a beginner, but, I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, that's what you are, so that's who I'll be more targeting with this video. However, even if you have been silver stacking for a little while, but you just want to get some tips, then this can still be a good video for you. So, I'll try to keep it brief, but at the same time, there's a lot to cover. When you're talking about the entire art of silver investing, so I guess let's just get into this. So before you can even invest in silver, there's a few things you need to know. First of all, you need to know where to buy silver. Now, for this, I have a few recommendations. Honestly, it really depends on what you're looking for, though. If you're just looking for, random results, like, you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you don't have anything specific in mind, you just want to search for something to do with silver, then I would definitely recommend eBay because, you could search for silver coins and get thousands of results, and then you could also, since there's so many different people on there, you can compare different prices all at once, as opposed to having to go to different websites, which can take longer. There's going to be sellers who don't have their own websites but are on eBay, and while, many people do think that everything on eBay, is going to be a scam, that's not really necessarily true because of the fact that as long as, the seller either has decent feedback or, they've been established for a little while, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be safe. They don't have to have like 10,000 feedback that's all positive to really be, trustworthy. I think even if someone had like a couple hundred feedback, then, you could definitely trust the seller if they've been established for a year or two, because they've made so many, sound, or had so much sound feedback before. I think that they're going to be most likely going to be pretty safe. But if you really don't trust it, make a small purchase from the seller first, and then if that purchase does turn out to be genuine, then you don't have any problems with it. Then make a larger purchase from them would be my recommendation. But it's like maybe you don't want to use eBay, or you got something more specific in mind. Well then there's a few websites I would recommend. First of all, Provident Metals is a great website. They got, great selection, very, very competitive prices as well. Another one I would recommend is JM Bullion. Again, very great website. APMEX, I guess it depends. Some people will tell you that they've had amazing experiences with them. Some people will tell you that they've had terrible ones. So, they're much larger. So I feel like that they're less personalized than most of these companies, just because, most of the silver bullion that is sold is through them, through out of any website, maybe besides like eBay, of course, but, every website that's targeted only towards silver and, maybe other precious metals, I think that APMEX handles the most sales by far, so they're really, I think, maybe a little bit less personalized than these other ones. I heard that, from some people at least, that their customer service isn't the best, but, they do definitely have the best selection. Their pricing, I think, is usually a little bit high, though, but I mean, if you're looking for the best selection out of everyone, then I would go with APMEX. And another recommendation I have is Modern Coin Mart. I have two of their bars right here. I've bought from APMEX and Provident Metals as well, but I didn't buy the bars from them. Well, I'm not sure. I don't think I bought any bars from them because I'm pretty sure these two bars, these two bars I ordered from MCM because it's got their design. I'm pretty sure this bar I ordered from them too to get a second 1 troy ounce Morgan head, because I bought this one, I think in person, but I believe I ordered that one. Maybe I ordered them both, I'm not even sure now, but one thing I do like about their bars is that, I'll show you, like, these bars right here, if you flip them on the back, they've just got, regular design, but if you flip the MCM bars on the back, they can actually be turned, here we go, you can see, now the design is, can be vertical or horizontal, so I'll put them back down like that. So if I ever need to make a full stack video, I can put their bar any way, I need to, in order to make it fit better, so I always liked that about their bars, that they have design on both sides. See, I don't think these have a design, yeah, well, no, they have the back of the coin actually on them. And I'm pretty sure these should as well. Yeah. But that's because they're based on coins. A lot of design, or a lot of these companies aren't going to have, design. So I just like the look of MCM, and they're a really great company. They feel very personalized out of all of them. You know, I feel like that I had the best personal just experience with them. Like, you know, since I bought through them through their eBay store, you know, they actually did take the time, even though they have as much or as many purchases as they make. You know, they still took the time to leave me feedback for my individual purchases, which weren't like super big either. So I was definitely, you know, felt like that was a nice gesture on their part, I guess you could say. It just felt more personalized. But anyway, you know, so now that you know where to buy silver, you know, this is not really a question I can answer for you, but this one you have to ask yourself, you know, what are you looking to spend, and just what is your budget for silver, you know? Make sure before you even start investing, you know how much money you're looking to put into it. You know, set up a monthly plan. You know, set up some goals, that type of thing for silver investing, so you know what you're hoping to achieve. So you're not just kind of blindly going into it, buying, you know, and not having a strategy for it. So anyway, speaking of which, now let's get into your actual buying strategies. You know, what is the best way to buy silver? Honestly, there's a few good strategies. One is and this would be, you know, I'm just gonna say monthly here, but you know, save up all the money that you're willing to put into silver. So whatever percent of your income you want to put into silver, save that, and then at the end of the month make one large purchase. And I think this is a better idea than making, you know, purchase every week, because of the fact that, you know, with more buying power, since you have more currency to spend on silver, you know, you can usually get a better deal per ounce because you have a lot more buying power, and therefore, you know, you have a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for here? You have the ability to make a much larger purchase. And generally, when if you're buying, you know, either let's say you're let's go with an example here of just coins, just because it's easier. Let's say either you can afford to buy at the end of a month, and I mean this is for someone with a decent budget here, but let's say either, you know, you're gonna buy $100 face value every week, or at the end of the month you can buy $450 face value of coins. Well, generally, if you're making that much of a larger purchase, you know, you can usually get a better deal. I mean, either way, it's a decent amount of silver you're purchasing. Remember, that's not going to be, you know, everyone. That's not going to have $5,000 of disposable income at the end of every month. That's just, you know, someone who's doing pretty well. But, you know, even if you're not going to be making that large purchase, let's go down even and say either you can do $10 a week face value, or you know, you could do 45 at the end of the month. You know, even there, it's still a decent enough purchase, I think, where, you know, especially with $45, I think you'd be able to get a lot better of a deal than $10. And no, that's not to say if a good deal pops up, you know, that's better than anything you're ever going to find normally, then definitely, you know, jump on the chance to get it and put all of the, you know, silver money that you were saving up into that, just because of the fact that, you know, it's a better deal than you're usually going to find. You know, and coin roll hunting is something else that you can try, but, you know, it's kind of unreliable. It takes a lot of time, but if you do have a full-time job, you know, that's going to be difficult to do. Yeah, but you can get it for face value that way, and you'd really be getting, like, you'd really be paying cheap for silver, but at the same time, you know, it's very difficult to do regularly. So this is just for somebody who actually wants to purchase silver. But, you know, I would just say usually just save up until you can make a larger purchase, so you have more buying power for, you know, for buying silver. Now, number 3, I have what to buy. Well, honestly, you know, there's no one be-all, end-all type of silver. I've said this before on my channel, but, you know, there's definitely not one type of silver that you can just buy and then it's, you know, be completely sound, because, and I'll go over this again here, silver bullion and junk constitutional silver, where you're buying for quantity over quality, you know, you usually are going to be good in like an economic collapse situation, or just sorry about that, but either that or just a situation where the silver prices start skyrocketing for maybe another reason, maybe a war or something like that's going on. You know, precious metals are becoming very necessary for the government, but, you know, something's going on to drive up the silver price rapidly. And in that instance, those metals are going to be good because they directly ride on the value of silver, but at the same time, if silver prices shoot down and don't recover for a while, then, those are going to be hurt, those investments. However, let's say something like I'm trying to think of a good example of a coin, like and let's say like you have like an old dollar coin, right, from like the early 1800s. That's going to be worth a lot of money, and even if silver were to go down 90% in value, it would still only lose maybe $10.50 in value, from silver. However, it's still building value every year because of the fact that it's becoming rarer and rarer, and that coin already is immensely valuable. Chances are if it's from the early 1800s, in decent condition, that coin's already going to hold a lot of value to it, and it won't ride on the silver price, being high in order to maintain value, because of the fact that even if it were made of copper, it would still be valuable. It wouldn't matter what it was made of, because of the fact that it's a rarity. And it's the same thing with bullion. That's like part of like a series or something, like lunar coins, and I guess like the kookaburras and that type of thing, American silver eagles. All those are kind of in the middle, I guess you could say, really, if you think about it, because of the fact that the most expensive, like a 1 ounce, is going to be maybe $50-$60. But if silver did crash, they would still be losing, let's say, I don't know, close to 25% of their value. You know what I mean? If it's $60, it'd probably be a little bit over 25% of the value if silver were to become suddenly worthless, let's say. Let's be really extreme here. If it were to suddenly become worthless, then those coins would still lose a decent amount of their value. So I think that those coins are the one exception to this. I really don't think that they're necessary to invest in. And while they do have a guaranteed value build pretty much over every year, I'm not going to lie, you still are taking a risk because of the fact that they're not protected from a silver price crash, even though they cost a lot more than silver's melt value, just because of the fact that still a decent amount of their value is determined by their silver content. But if you're willing to take a little bit of a risk here, I mean, usually you're not taking too much of one, because of the fact that they still do hold a lot of value as of now. Even if the price did crash, they would still be worth a little bit. But the other thing is that they do build value up over time. That's what makes them a good investment to people. Anyway, let's go on to the next here. How to maximize profits. Well, honestly, if you're thinking like this, then I don't know if silver investing is even for you, because while you should be thinking about the best deal you can get on silver, not how you can make the most money. Because when people who buy at dips and sell at peaks, that might work for a little while, but unless you controlled the silver market yourself and knew exactly what was going to happen, you might buy at what you think is the lowest price, and it ends up not being, or you might sell at what you think is the highest price, but it ends up not being, and then you're waiting so long that you're wasting time, for one, and for two, when the silver price comes back down from the peak, it might end up being, at a point where, assuming you've sold all your silver, what you thought was a peak, and then the silver price actually goes up to its real peak, and then, let's say 3 months later it finally comes back down, it might never reach the same type of dip that it did before, and therefore you might not be able to ever buy silver as cheap as you had bought that silver before the previous peak, and then your cost average is going to be forced to go up for silver when when you want to buy some more, as opposed to if you just held on to your silver. Every time silver peaks, it's going to be getting a little bit higher than the last peak. I mean, maybe with the exception of when silver spiked up to like $50 an ounce. But usually each peak's going to be higher than the last, because silver follows a steady cycle of peaking and dipping. But every time it does this cycle, silver's a little bit rarer because a little bit more is going into electronics that's never going to be recovered again. So, then silver is going to, when it peaks, it might go up 20, 30 more cents an ounce than it has last peak. So, silver over time builds value, and that's why, honestly, you really shouldn't be thinking necessarily about short-term profits I mean, unless you really have to rely on silver as like a primary source of income. However, I don't. Chances are, that's not going to be what you're going to be doing. Chances are you're just doing it as something on the side. You already have a job that allowed you to buy silver in the first place. So, you might as well hold on to it, because over time, silver builds up value more and more. Each, like I was saying, each peak is going to be better than the last, relatively speaking, with the exception of a few peaks or dips here and there, but, it's over time. Every time silver does go down, it does recover, and it recovers a little bit better than the last time. So, if you're buying and selling, if you're selling silver every, 3 months or so, that's really a very short-term investment then, and, honestly, you would not make as much money doing that as you could, just holding on to it for 20, 30 years when silver's going to be a lot higher. Honestly, I'm not even sure when I'm going to sell any of my silver. I'm planning to hold on to it for a while. That's just me, and I think most people would agree that investing for the long run is much better than, investing as a short, for the short term, and buying and selling like really rapidly. And I'm sorry to be ranting on here about it, but honestly, and to recap here for that, I would just say hold on to it for a while. Don't even really worry about profits right now. Just worry about getting the best deal on silver, because you should be holding on to it for a while in order to, in the long run, maximize your profits. So next here, I'm going to discuss, what makes silver valuable and why you should even be buying silver. Now that, I've went over the best way to buy silver, I'm going to discuss, if you're thinking, well, why would I even want to invest in silver? Then let me just explain it to you now. Silver, unlike currency, or at least fiat currencies, there's a supply and demand for it. For one, it's a very useful resource, one of the most useful resources up there with, gold and that type of thing. It's very useful in, electronics, so it's constantly, its supply is constantly being dwindled, but the demand's constantly being brought up as more and more people, want to buy the next cell phone that's out. And it's also, highly praised for, its rarity, and just its overall use in jewelry is considered very, nice, along with gold. So it is almost a symbol of royalty, if you will, because of the fact, or at least it was at one time, and now it is cherished for its, for one, the way it looks, and just its use in jewelry in general is considered, something that a lot of people want, to have silver jewelry, something that's considered very nice to have. And so mankind kind of just values silver as, a real form of money. And like I was saying, though, there is that supply and demand factor, too, that, unlike a fiat currency, which can just be printed in unlimited quantities, silver can't be printed, if you will, You can't make more silver. It can't be made. It has to be mined. So, every time we do mine silver, there's less and less in the earth because it's a limited resource. It's not unlimited. And therefore, that's what really gives silver its value, is the fact that that for this 1 ounce bar, there's only going to be so many more of these that could ever be owned by any being. You know what I mean? For this 5 ounce bar right here, whatever you want to use as a comparison, that there can't be an unlimited amount of any of these ever bought, because of the fact that you can't create silver. Silver has to be mined, and there's only so much of it in the earth. The earth's not replenishing it, so and it is becoming rarer and rarer. So honestly, the reason you should be investing in silver, at least I believe, is because of the fact that you are going to, for one, be protected in economic collapse, because of the fact that if I'm not going to say once, but if a currency were to fail in your country, then silver is going to be protecting you, because it is cherished as real money as opposed to currency. So, and it would probably be used in a bartering situations after the U.S. dollar were to fall. For one, and for two, another thing is that even if that weren't necessarily going to happen, silver is becoming rarer every day as more and more of it goes into electronics, where it's never going to be recovered, or jewelry or whatever. it might be, you know, just into situations where it's never going to be cherished for its actual value as money. Maybe, you know, it would just be used in jewelry just to look nice, or in electronics to help them function. So, you know, it is going to be driven up because of that, as the supply is used in things where, you know, you're never going to own the silver just because it's silver. You know, you're going to want something more of it. But, you know, the demand's still going to be there for the silver. It's still going to be going up, and that's what's going to drive the price up, is the fact that people always want more silver. Even if, you know, the supply is going down, the demand is always still going to maintain the same or go up, because of the fact that, you know, more and more people are being born, so more and more people are going to own phones and that sort of thing, where, you know, silver is necessary for them, at least as of now. And therefore, you know, silver always maintains a value that, you know, can't be beat by any currency or anything like that. So I do hope that this video was helpful to you. That's it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.